From screaming in gut-wrenching pain in a hospital bed to becoming the highest bid of the 2025 IPL auction, Rishabh Pant's miraculous journey has been one of hope, resilience, strength, guts, and tenacity. In fact, words fall short when describing the depth of his battle. It was still dark at 5:30 a.m. on December 30th, 2022, as Rishabh Pant found himself driving down the cold, windy Delhi-Haridwar highway. The Mercedes-AMG GLE 43 Coupe cruised along at a steady 80 kilometers per hour inside. The young cricket maverick was alone, navigating through the early morning mist. His eyelids grew heavy, the exhaustion from the long hours taking its toll. Still, Pant couldn't help but feel happy, thinking about the surprise his mom would get when he returned home. But in an instant, disaster struck. His head drooped for just a moment. His eyes closed for a split second, and in that brief flash, tragedy unfolded. The car violently smashed into the highway divider, the metal screeching as it collided with the concrete barrier. The luxury vehicle flipped several times, tumbling before landing on the other side of the divider, almost as if it was waiting to be hit again by oncoming traffic. It could have been the end, but fate had other plans. Luckily, a conductor from a passing Haryana Roadways bus spotted the wreckage and immediately alerted the driver. As the bus driver and conductor rushed to the smoking car, they saw sparks beginning to erupt from the wreckage. Through one shattered window, they saw a barely conscious Pant signaling weakly for help. The driver, in a panic but determined, tore away the broken glass from the driver's side window and tried to tug on Pant. But it wasn't that easy. Pant's right knee was twisted at an unnatural 90-degree angle, blocking any movement. Every second mattered. The car's trunk had already caught fire, and time was running out. Yet, even in his barely conscious state, Pant's instincts kicked in. With one last surge of strength, he pointed to his knee, signaling the men to hold it. With every ounce of courage, Pant twisted the knee back into position, clearing the way for them to pull him from the wreckage. And just in time, the brave duo managed to drag him out, and barely 2 to 3 minutes later, the car exploded into a massive fireball. But Pant wasn't done yet. As they pulled him away from the inferno, the conductor recognized the star wicketkeeper batsman. This wasn't just any person they had saved. It was Rishabh Pant, the player who had made India proud time and time again. At the hospital, doctors could barely recognize the shattered athlete before them. His body was swollen, like a waterlogged piece of wood, his muscles battered and torn like the remnants of a warrior. His right knee looked like a battlefield, no ligament intact, exposed bones jutting out. From the back of his neck to his lower waist, every inch of his body seemed ravaged by the crash. The journey was far from over. Pant was airlifted to Max Hospital, where the real battle for survival began. It took 5 long hours of bandaging just to stop the bleeding. The doctors worked tirelessly, wrapping him like an Egyptian mummy to stabilize him. He was so badly injured that it required 2 rounds of anesthesia just to sedate him enough for treatment. Amidst all this chaos and trauma, the only thing untouched were his teeth, still as white as ever against the grim landscape of blood red. But the young cricketer had a spirit that no injury could break. Despite the horrific pain, Pant remained alert and determined, keeping his sense of survival intact. Even as the doctors worked on him, he would smile weakly, showing the world that his journey was just beginning. He knew this was just one battle, and he was ready to fight on. Even the slightest movement sent waves of excruciating pain through Rishabh Pant's body, causing him to squirm in agony. His screams could often be heard echoing through the hospital halls, the intensity of his injuries unmatched. Yet, despite everything, his spirit remained unbreakable. Even in those moments of torment, Pant managed to smile at his best friend, Umesh, when his childhood coach, Tarak Sinha, came to visit. What did Rishabh do in that moment? Even with all the pain, he still found the strength to care for others. With a weak but reassuring voice, he asked his coach, "Sir, did you have any trouble reaching here? Rest now before you drive back." He was still the same man who thought of others, even in his darkest hour. Meanwhile, his mother, who had been by his side through everything, was heartbroken. She knew how bad it was. The wounds were deep. Doctors were talking about the possibility of amputating his leg. "Pray for him," she whispered through tears, her mind racing with fear. At Mac's hospital, Pant underwent plastic surgery to treat the severe injuries to his face. However, it was his right knee that demanded the most attention. BCCI Secretary, Jay Shah, had him airlifted to a hospital in Mumbai for a second surgery. There, doctors performed a complex procedure, reconstructing 3 of the 4 ligaments in his knee. It was a success, but the battle was far from over. For many weeks, Pant remained bedridden, unable to walk or even move his arms. His doctor, Dinshaw Pardawala, was cautious with his prognosis, stating, "If you can get back to competitive cricket, it will be a miracle." But Pant's resolve was unwavering, and perhaps the doctor had underestimated him. "I'll follow whatever protocol is required to get back," he promised. Against all odds, Pant's spine had survived the horrific accident, and his nerves in the lumbar region, which supply sensation to the body, remained intact, a miracle in itself. However, doubts still lingered. Would he ever be able to return to the explosive, swashbuckling cricketer that he once was and was destined to be? It certainly seemed possible, but the journey would be filled with agony, physical pain, mental strain, and countless roadblocks. And, as if it wasn't enough, Pant had to miss India's home World Cup. So how did Rishabh Pant fight through this overwhelming pain? How did he stay determined to rise again? Before we dive into that, don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon for notifications. Let's explore the early phase of Rishabh Pant's battle for survival. The early days were incredibly tough. Pant needed help even with the simplest tasks, brushing his teeth, eating, or adjusting his position in bed. Despite the unwavering love and support from his family and friends, who stood by him like rocks, Pant craved isolation. He withdrew from the world, needing space to heal both physically and mentally. During those quiet moments, Pant found solace in something simple: food. Especially rasmalai. It became his comfort, acting like a balm to calm his mind. Amidst the pain, he repeated a mantra to himself over and over until he believed it. Being happy or being sad, you have to get the job done. It wasn't just about surviving the physical trauma. It was about keeping his focus, staying mentally strong, and finding ways to push forward. In his moments of isolation, Pant found inspiration in his own life struggles. As a 12-year-old, he would travel 200 kilometers with his mother from their small town, Roorkee, to Delhi just to train at the famous Sonnet Club under the guidance of his childhood coach, Taraksina. They didn't have much money, and often, when they ran out, his mother would take shelter at a small motel in Delhi. Despite those hardships, Pant's focus on cricket never wavered. In fact, even after the tragic death of his father, Pant's commitment to cricket only grew stronger. He remembered his father's dream for him, to become a cricketer. Just a day after playing in the IPL, he reflected on how important it was to honor his father's memory. "I have to honor my father's dream," he would say. "He wanted me to become a cricketer." Through all the pain and struggles, Pant remained resolute. His body had endured a horrific accident, but it was his spirit that carried him through the darkest moments. His journey was far from easy, but with the support of his family, his mental fortitude, and the lessons he learned throughout his life, Rishabh Pant was determined to defy the odds and rise again. But this is only half the story. The fight is far from over, and in the next chapter, we'll uncover how Rishabh transformed his pain into power and rose back to become one of the most inspiring comebacks cricket has ever seen. Don't miss part 2 of Rishabh Pant's incredible journey, where we explore his remarkable recovery and his triumphant return to cricket. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and stay tuned for the next chapter of this extraordinary story.